Salutations and welcome to Shauna's Kitchen, where every day is a new day, and today we are making brown sugar bourbon ganache. You ever have that cookie that tastes so good but it doesn't always look the prettiest? Well, that recently happened to me, and I made a beautiful almond butter spritz cookie, and they didn't quite set the way I wanted. They didn't spread, they look beautiful, they taste fantastic, but I just thought they were kind of plain looking. So I decided to spruce it up a little and get out the brown sugar bourbon to make a ganache. So to do this, we're going to simply need 4 ingredients. I'm going to show you how to make the ganache. I'm also going to be doing the video on how to make the cookies, but I wanted to just go ahead and show you what I had already done. And the ganache is going to need some time anyway to set up. And this ganache I'm going to use in 2 ways. So first, we're going to be making ganache for the rest of the almond spritz cookies. And honestly, it tastes like a Milano cookie when it's done, even with the bourbon. The bourbon isn't a strong taste. It's a brown sugar cinnamon taste that meshes very nicely with this almond butter cookie. So without further ado, you're going to need 4 ingredients for this ganache. 5 if you want to turn it into a truffle, which we are also going to do that as well. So what you're going to need to do is I recommend weighing this out. I have my scale here and I pre-weighed out 115 grams of heavy cream, which we're going to put into a very small saucepan and have a whisk. And we're going to go ahead and turn that on medium. We've also pre-measured out 100 grams of semi-sweet chocolate on the first set. This set is a dark chocolate, so I'm going to do it in 2 different varieties. This is dark chocolate, 100 grams, and 1/8 of a teaspoon or a pinch of salt, and I use the pink Himalayan salt for added flavoring and texture, and I like sea salt. You can just use a regular pinch if you choose to. On my scale, it went from 100 grams to 101 grams, so I was happy with that. And then also I have pre-weighed 11 grams of the bourbon. Now this ganache, you're going to definitely need to use a liquid. It doesn't have to be a bourbon. It can be whatever you want to use. I'm choosing that because that's what we have on hand. And I think that the cinnamon and brown sugar goes really nicely for the holidays. So all we're gonna do is simply get out our little saucepan and we're gonna heat this up until it boils. Now you're going to want to also have already sitting out, as you can see over here, I have a towel down, and on the towel I have a clean bowl. Make sure that it is completely dry because water and chocolate don't get along. And then I went ahead and, like I said, I pre-measured my 100 grams plus 1 gram of salt, and I'm going to go ahead and put it right into that bowl. That way I can move my scale. Now, the reason I have the towel down is because I want to make sure that everything is at the right temperature. I have my salt in, so I'm going to go ahead and move that as well as my chocolate. The more room I have to show you, the better. So now I can move this over. I have my bourbon prepared. Now, if you're going to want to make a truffle, then I also have some sifted powdered sugar that I'm going to be using later, and I'll show you that. So you can either be a 4 or 5 ingredient, your choice. So all we need to do is have this towel down so that it keeps our chocolate at the right temperature. It doesn't change. My kitchen is actually kind of cold right now, so I want to make sure and make sure that my chocolate doesn't have the temperature changed when I put in my boiling heavy cream. So all we need to do is wait for this to come to a little bit of a boil, and once it does, we're going to put it straight in to our chocolate. And now at that point, we're going to leave it alone for a minute. As much as you want to do something to this chocolate, please don't. Just let it sit there. And then in about a minute or two, you can take your whisk and touch the top. And if it is soft in the middle, then we're ready to move on. If it still feels kind of hard and your chocolate chips are holding up, then you're going to want to wait. The reason is you don't want to have to do the work and all the whisking work. The sooner that you put your whisk into here and start turning, the longer you're going to have to whisk. If you are patient and just let the heavy cream do the job, then you're going to be much faster at this with much less whisking. I also want to point out, once you put your whisk in and you start doing this, you're just going to always whisk in the same direction. That way we don't break the chocolate. And by breaking, I mean make it separate. So I'm on medium heat, and I'm just whisking every once in a while because I want it to come to a boil, and it is starting to have a little bit of bubbles, but I also don't want it to burn. Now I'm just going to set my whisk here. I am now bubbling and boiling all around. I'm going to turn off my stove. And now I'm going to kind of raise up from above, and I'm going to, not too high, but enough that I'm going to be able to pour it all around in my bowl, getting it on top of all of the chocolate pieces, best I can. Okay. Now we're literally going to leave that alone for a minute. I will be back in 1 minute. All right, it's been about a minute and a half, so we're going to check our chocolate. Oh, yep, it's definitely soft. So now we're going to start to whisk, and you're going to choose one direction and start in the middle and just go slowly. And at first you're going to feel like nothing's happening, and that's okay. It's going to take a little bit of time for this to come together. You just need to be patient and keep in the middle and keep swirling the same direction. Alright, so I'm going to just keep swirling in the same direction for a minute, and then I'll let you see how it looks. Alright, so I've been stirring for a minute here, and you can start to see, let me switch hands, keep the same direction. You can start to see where the chocolate is coming together in the middle. So I'm going to just make my circle a little bit bigger. Still staying mostly in the middle though. Bringing it together slowly. This is one of those kind of things that you're going to feel like it's not working, and all of a sudden it is just going to start coming together. So you just got to be patient and just keep swirling in the same direction until it is together. Now, the dark chocolate does take longer than the semi-sweet chocolate when it comes time to whipping it together. There we go. It's now starting to look like a ganache, isn't it? Wow, isn't that crazy how it just, boom, goes from a messy, unmixed conglomeration into this. All right, so now that it has become a beautiful ganache, I'm going to stop, add in my 11 ounces of brown sugar bourbon, And now I'm going to just slowly stir again from the middle. Now you definitely need to use a liquid when you make this ganache because it was created with a liquid included in the amounts. Now, that doesn't mean you have to use a whiskey. You could use a fruit juice. You could use other alcohols if you choose. But you do need to have some kind of liquid. You can even use a fruit or a citrus with zest if you wanted to, depending on what kind of ganache you want to make. All right, so now that I've started from the middle, gone the same direction, and continued to swirl, we have now a very beautiful ganache. Now at this point, you can see it's not holding up. It is runny, and that's okay, because at this point, we are going to be covering it. Now, I'm going to take where this cream hit the edge and was not mixed. I do not want to mix it now that everything has been mixed. And I'm just going to remove it. Plain and simple. Just like that. Now, I'm also going to go over here where I hit the edge and take that out so that I have basically a clean area, because my next step is I have some plastic wrap right here that I've already pulled out, and I'm going to stick it in to the ganache in the middle and press down slightly on top of it, and make sure all of the ganache is covered so it doesn't create a film on it, because we have heavy cream in this chocolate, and if you do not cover it, then it is going to create a film on the top, and that is not going to taste good. All right, so now we have it completely covered, and you have a choice. You can either leave it on your counter for a while, 20 minutes, an hour, but you're going to want to keep checking it because it's going to continue to set up and get harder. So you see I have a spoon over here, and I will come back and keep checking. I can put this in the refrigerator to hurry it along, but in my opinion, if you wait too long or you forget to check it and it gets too hard, it's not going to spread as well on our cookies. And because that's my first objective, is finishing my cookies, I want to do that. I may come back and do another batch so that I can make my truffles later. However, this batch I know does about 28 of my cookies, because I've already done a batch of 28 of my almond Windsor cookies that are now like a Milano cookie. So I will bring you back when this has set up, and we will fill the cookies, and then I will chill it the rest of the way, or be making another batch for our brown sugar bourbon truffles. So be back when it's set up. All right, so I'm back, and I have my almond cookies, almond butter spritzer cookies, and here is that beautiful ganache. Oh, it's set up perfectly. Ooh, I thought you might want to see how it just spreads so nicely onto the cookie. Now, how long you need to let yours set up is going to depend on the humidity, the temperature, and all those things in your kitchen, or if you just put them into the refrigerator, of course. Now, I try to wipe my finger every time between each cookie so that I am not getting chocolate all over. And then I'm matching my sizes. The good thing about my cookie press is about the same amount comes out. However, here and there, they didn't work the best, and so there was a little bit of different sizes. However, I could match them up with others that were about the same size. So as you can see, I'm just spreading on a little bit of spoonful here, doing a circular motion from the middle out. And I don't want to actually go too far to the edge. I almost went too far on that one because I don't want it to ganache out. Ha ha ha. So after I've stuck that on, match up my edges, and there we have it. And then I just set them down. And once I fill my tray, I'm going to go ahead and put these back into the refrigerator and let them set up for probably an hour. And then I will then move the tray to the freezer and freeze them and put them in airtight container so they are ready for the holidays, and to keep my husband out of them because they're pretty good. So I have 2 batches. One of them will be with the semi-sweet chocolate with the brown sugar bourbon, and this is the dark chocolate. So in order to keep them straight, I actually had 2 batches of cookies, and the second batch, the tops actually have the little dimples, you may recall. This batch is totally flat, so I know that, and they have a little bit crisper edge around them than the others. So I'm going to not only do these with my dark chocolate in the middle, but then I'm going to use a regular dark chocolate and temper it, and then I'm just going to do the edges around the cookie itself in the chocolate, and then let them set up so that I know the difference between a light and a dark, or semi-sweet and dark, excuse me. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and I'll get back to you when it's time to do the truffles. Just so you know, what I've done when I wasn't on camera is I doubled my batch, and I made another set, and it's in the refrigerator because I want this to get really hard so I can make the truffle balls. But what I did different with this double batch is I did half semi-sweet chocolate and half the dark chocolate. So it was 100 grams of each. And I'm thinking that'll be a nice contrast for those that don't like dark chocolate, and then those that do. So I'll let you know how those turn out. I'll bring you back when we get ready to roll them and put them into our our Hershey's cocoa powder. Be right back. Good morning and welcome back. We are going to be finishing up our brown sugar bourbon truffles. I'm presenting to you. I've already started some. Here is the mix that we set up overnight, and then I went ahead and started a few. I have found, so first I sifted the cocoa powder, you may remember. I have found that the very best thing to do is to use your melon baller and to roll it in your cocoa powder, and then you can pick up your little balls of chocolate and put them right in there. I don't even try to form them, quite honestly. I just keep the cocoa powder on my little melon baller, and it is metal, and it keeps it cold. And then you can see after they've been in the cocoa powder for a second, then I go ahead and make my ball. But at first, forgot to do that one. And I want it to stay cold, so this is going to kind of be a quick process. I'm only partly putting them into a form as I'm pulling them out of the melon baller and dropping them in to the cocoa powder. As soon as I get 4 or 5 in there, I go ahead and stop. I reapply my cocoa powder, and then I just kind of roll these guys around real quick. Now you can always put it back into the refrigerator for a few minutes and get them cold again. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll all of these into a semi-ball shape. Now they are not going to be complete balls. I'll put this back into the fridge for about 15 minutes. At which point then I will roll them one more time so that they're nice and spherical and more appealing to the eye for my friends and family. And then after that, we will temper up some chocolate, probably just melt up some chocolate thin, and then go ahead and dip them in our chocolate and put our little extra top on it so that we know to signify that this is a bourbon whiskey. Each of the truffles that we will be making for the holidays will have a different kind of top or design so that I am able to label them with a tag that tells what it is, what the ingredients are from the most to the least for my friends and family, and then attaching my YouTube channel so if they want to go look them up they can, because everything that I'm making for my friends and family I will be posting on my YouTube in case they want to go back and make them themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and finish putting these into the balls and get it into the refrigerator for 15 minutes, and then I'll bring you back for the next step. Right, so we're getting ready to get these babies tasted and set up. So what I like to do is my husband bought me all of these different sizes of wrappers that have a self-adhesive little sticky spot so that you can put different things in. I like to give out 2 of each thing to each person, individually wrapped, and then I'll put them all together, like for a family of 6, for example. There will be 6 packages of these, so each person gets 2, and then they will also be marked. So like these ones are kid friendly, so they're totally fine. If it's not kid friendly, it will be marked separately. Now the kids will have pretty cute stuff too. These are like Milano cookies that I made. They're actually an almond butter spritzer with a it's a Brown Sugar Bourbon dark chocolate ganache. That's where the dark came in. And then, of course, we have our truffles. And I put 2 in each of these little wraps. Now, I have these also that I hang on to and save. I have different colors and different sizes. I use this dark color for my bourbon ones. And then I have a green one that I'm going to use for something specific flavor. And then same with my different yellows and pink, white. Now, some of them, when they get off-sized and they're not round anymore, a lot of people I know throw them away. I do not, because, excuse me, I have found that when they have this shape, that a rectangle or square fits very good in there. So if I was planning to have my caramels in one of those, each one of those, then I would have done that. However, my caramels hold up very well, and there's no need that they're not sticking together, and they'll just be in the freezer in another Ziploc bag all together until we're done, and then I can keep count of them. This is how I keep my husband out of the ones that are gifts, and they do stay in the freezer. So without further ado, I'm going to show you one more what I do. So I do not touch my chocolates. You can see I have a parchment paper underneath here. This is actually a ceramic tile. I put it into the freezer and let it get super cold. I also put my little spatula into the freezer as well. And I do that so that it's nice and cold. Excuse me. When I'm getting ready to put these guys in there. Because remember, I don't want to touch them, because that leaves fingerprints. Oh, I didn't take the edge off this guy. No wonder. Okay. Guess I should have checked that. Hold on. We gotta dump that little guy out. Because I did cut the feet off, I need to put him in upside down so that I can get a hold of it better and not touch it. Alright. There we go. Now we have those 2. And they get this size. And then I look for the opening. Not that I see very well. Okay, so then I can just set it on the counter. And I push it in halfway and then get the other guy in because I'm still not touching. And now I let it hang off the edge of my trivet. That way it's like facing up, it's not down flat, and they're not getting squished. And then I just take off the piece when I can find it. Set it to the side. Grab both of my edges at the bottom, right where the edge piece is, where the lip of your package is, and I fold it down to that point. because I kind of want it to be even. And I don't want these guys sliding around, but I also don't want them squished. So I kind of want to have almost a pinky's width on each side, and that is done. So without further ado, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to cut and taste our beautiful, yummy brown sugar bourbon with dark chocolate ganache. I don't know if you can see that there. Let's bring that up here. So, that's what it looks like all the way around. And I'm just going to cut it. Oh, that was beautiful. And this is what it looks like inside. Beautiful. All right, let's give it a try. It melts in your mouth. Not hard. That is perfect. If you want a melt in your mouth treat, you should give these a try. Your friends and family would love them. If you found this useful, like, share, subscribe, tag, pass it along. Give me any comments if you tried it. If you have any other suggestions, let me know. I'm super excited. I gotta finish these up. Have a great day. See you next time.